Hey guys, it's Tahira, and today I'm going to be talking about all the books I read in the month of July. So first of all, I know my shelf is completely empty right now except for the stack of books. It's because I am moving in a couple of days, and so all of my books are packed. Except for this one stack because these are the books that I will be taking with me to college. But yeah, other than that, all of my books are packed, including all the books that I read this month except for one. So I'll just be like putting the picture up on the screen instead of actually holding the book. In the month of July, I actually only read about 5 books, which is it is my average. Usually I only read around 5 books, which is my average. But I thought it would be a little bit more with the reading rush because I did participate in that this year, but actually it didn't actually come up to that much. Still only 5 books, which is great. That's fine. If I'm reading anything, that's an accomplishment for me, and I think that I'm not gonna put myself down for not reading as much as I wanted to. Yeah, but without further ado, I'm just gonna go ahead and start talking about all the books I read in the month of July. The first book I read this month was A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. I'm pretty sure I started this in June, at the end of June, and finished this in the beginning of July, but I gave this 4.5 stars, and this is actually a reread for me because I wanted to read A Conjuring of Light, but I didn't really remember anything from the first 2 books, and I just wanted a refresher, so I decided to read the first 2 books before starting the third. I actually did not remember anything that happened in Gathering of Shadows from my first read back a few years ago, and so it was almost like I was reading it for the first time. And honestly, I feel like Gathering of Shadows is like almost an unnecessary book because it actually, like, the whole thing, that like everything that happens in the book is not essential to the overarching plot of the entire trilogy. I did like this book, but not as much as the first one. I really liked the first one, but this one just felt like it was about something that wasn't even related to what was important to the story. And what I have noticed with V.E. Schwab books is that she always takes a bit of time to actually get into the actual story of the book. She usually takes about the first 100 pages of the book to tell us what the characters are up to and what is going on with them before diving into the actual story. But yeah, I think that I enjoyed this book because V.E. Schwab is one of my favorite authors, but I think this book could have actually been taken out because only the very end of the book was relevant to the story. But it's V.E. Schwab, and I love the characters and the writing, so I still gave it 4.5 stars. The next book that I read in the month of July was The Selection by Kira Cass. This was actually the first book that I read for the reading rush, and I absolutely loved it. This is actually a reread for me. I give this book 4 stars, and I was rereading it because I've been wanting to reread the trilogy. I know it's not a trilogy, but I don't really like the last 2 books, so I don't really consider it like a whole series. I consider it a trilogy anyway. My sister was reading The Selection, and it just made me want to reread it, and then I heard about like the Selection TV show, and that made me want to reread it even more, so I decided to do that during the reading rush. For fun and short books, I thought it'd be a great book for the readathon, and actually I did a whole reading vlog for the reading rush. If you want to check that out, I'll link that down below as well as up above. But I absolutely loved The Selection. I love going back in the world, and I love the characters and the whole concept. It's just so fun and entertaining. It's not one of those books that's like amazingly written or has the most amazing plot ever, but it's just so fun and entertaining, and I think it was the perfect read for a readathon. So yeah, highly enjoyed my reread of The Selection. The third book I read this month is A Mouse 2 by Art Spiegelman, which I give 4 stars. I actually read the first Mouse volume last year during last year's reading rush, and I read the second one in this reading rush, and I actually liked it a lot more than the first one. The problems with the first novel, or first graphic novel, was that I couldn't really connect to the story. It was one surprising because it wasn't exactly what I wanted. I thought it would be just the story about like the character in World War II and the Holocaust, but it was actually a story about a son talking to his father about his father's experience with the Holocaust. So it had a mix of scenes with his current life talking to his father, as well as the father recounting his past. I wasn't expecting that at all, so that was a little bit different for me, but this time I knew what I was getting into. I knew what was gonna happen, like with the mix of present day and past scenes. And I felt a lot more connected. I felt a lot more like emotionally connected to the characters as well as the events that were happening to them. One of my complaints that I still have with the Mouse duology, I guess, is that the art style isn't my favorite. It is all black and white, and I think that the mouse and cat concept isn't, it's like it adds nothing to the story. It's not like they're acting like cat or mice, they're still acting like humans, but they're just drawn as cat and mice. And I wish that if we had gotten something related to like how cat act and how mice act, I think it would have been a lot more cooler and a lot more just a different story. Sometimes the characters look the same because the art style is pretty simple, but overall I felt a lot more connected to the story, and I liked this a lot more than the first volume, which I really loved. The fourth book I read in the month of July is The Elite by Kira Cass. This is the second book to the selection series, which I also read in the reading rush, and I give this 3.5 stars. I didn't love it as much as the first book, and I actually felt like the main character America was actually a lot more annoying in this book. This book felt a lot more slower. In the first book, it goes through her getting accepted, her journey to the palace, and the beginnings of the selection. But in this one, it's basically there's only about a few girls left in the selection. America's one of them, and it's almost like their day-to-day everyday life, which could get a little boring sometimes. And there were these rebel attacks that happen on the palace. There's rebels, obviously, it's a YA novel. But yes, these rebel attacks happen every so often, and I don't know, I felt like there wasn't really any progress with finding out what they just kept happening. We didn't really get any information of why they were doing this and what was happening behind all that. Just we weren't given no information regarding that. So that's why I give The Elite a little bit of a lower rating. But again, I think that this series is just such an entertaining one that I just enjoyed my reread a lot. And the last book that I read in the month of July was A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab, which is the last book in the Shades of Magic trilogy. So this book was around 625 pages, and I feel like it could have been a lot smaller than it was. As I said, I feel like A Gathering of Shadows was an unnecessary book, and I honestly feel like this trilogy honestly could have been a duology. Maybe that's just me. I think that the pacing of this book was super off because like a lot happened in the beginning, a lot happened in the end, and then the middle was just like it felt like nothing was happening. Like it felt a lot like they were just doing stuff and going places, and I don't know, it just felt like really slow, and I had to like be like, it felt like I was dragging through the story. But when I actually got to the end part, I actually really loved it. And when I got to like the actual ending of the book, I thought it was bittersweet. I think it was just like a cute ending. This is why I give this book 3.75 out of 5 stars. I absolutely love the characters of the Shades of Magic trilogy. I think they're one of my favorites of all time, especially Lila Bard and Kel and Alucard and right, just like the whole cast of characters in this trilogy is just top notch. But yeah, that is all for all the books that I read in the month of July. I actually didn't read that much, and I really don't know how much I'm gonna read in the month of August because college is starting this month and I'm actually going to campus. My college is opening this fall, and so I will be going, and it's out of state. I'm in California, so I will be flying there. So I don't know how much time I will have to read, and I don't know if I will be able to make videos there either. So this is all a very chaotic time in my life because I'm also moving, I have to get ready for college. It's just a lot of stuff happening. But yeah, I read a lot of fun and great books. It was mainly, actually it was almost primarily 2 series that I read, the Selection and the Shades of Magic this month, so a lot of rereading going on, which I'm not mad about. The reason I've been rereading a lot is also because these stack of books that I have right here are mostly of my unread books, and I want to take them to college with me so that I don't run out of books there because no one wants that. But yeah, that is it for my July wrap up. Let me know down below what's your favorite book that you read this month, as I would love to know. But that is it for this video. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!